Hey church, Pastor Cory here. I have a verse and a passage that I would just love to share with you today. And it comes right out of Matthew chapter 14, and it's verse 27 through 32. And I'd love it if we could read this passage together. Let's read it. Verse 27, "But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, 'Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid.' And Peter answered him, 'Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water.' He said, 'Come.' So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, 'Lord, save me.' Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?' And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased." You know, this passage is really interesting because I think it's really cool for the imagination to think of they're out in the water and there's this, the wind and the waves are moving, and then Jesus is sitting there walking on water. And then Peter starts walking on water too. I mean, the imagination is really cool. And actually, we think about it, movies have ideas centered around this. The Mythbusters even did a thing on walking on water. And even furthermore, if you look it up, there is a reptile called the Jesus Christ lizard that is known for that name because it runs across the water. Now, as cool as those things are, I don't think that's what Matthew is trying to tell us about in this passage. I think what Matthew's kind of trying to show us is that, there's something a little bit more here. I once heard a pastor say it like this. He was describing a story. He was from Dallas. And he said, Dallas is really crazy traffic. There's like 5 and 6 lane highways. Everyone's driving like 20, 30 mile an hour over the speed limit. There's triple decker highways, which means there's 3 levels of highways going the same way. And he's like, the traffic is crazy. There's so much happening around you. And he said that the stress of driving in the morning was intense. And so he said this one morning, he really felt like God had said, you know what, I just want you to really pay attention to my words this morning. And so instead of turning the radio on when he got in the car, he said, all right, God, I'm going to listen. And when he got in the car, he felt like the Lord had said to him, when you get on the highway, just stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Don't change. Don't try and get over. Don't try and get one car ahead. Don't speed up. Whatever the speed is of the person in front of you, you match it and you stay in your lane. For the pastor, this is really difficult because usually he would like to get to work really fast, and this morning he actually said that he was running behind. And so normally he would try and drive as fast as he could. But he really felt like there was an intentional point to the Lord saying, stay in your lane, because it was like the Lord was saying, I just want you to look ahead and not pay attention to any of the distractions around you. And you see, I think this is actually what happened with Peter in this passage. Peter at first was looking ahead to Jesus. He had his eyes fixed on him. But then it's really interesting. It says that he looked at the wind and became afraid. Now, you and I both know that we cannot see the wind, but we can see the effects of the wind. So it's almost like Peter was looking at something that didn't exist and allowed himself to become distracted by it. And so what I think really that, the Lord is trying to teach us through this passage is that in life, as we are going along, we just got to stay in our lane. We got to keep our eyes fixed forward. We don't want to end up like Peter looking to the right and starting to sink. We don't want to become distracted by all the various distractions. And I know there are a lot. Really, we got to just stay in our lane, keep our eyes forward, and trust in the Lord and know that He is in control. So church, I encourage you with that. Just going to keep saying it because I want you to get it. Stay in your lane. God bless, church.